Dear Black man, when you walk into a room, your presence is known. The room gets quiet. Your spirit is awakening everyone else's spirits. You are here. You are present. You produce life. Your power is felt. They say behind every good man is a good woman. Hence, there had to be a man there first. You are the leader of the family. As God is the head, you are the body. Without you in the flesh, there would be no life. You are the first gender ever created. You rule over the animals. The decisions you make can be life-changing or life-threatening. What decision will you make? Black women understand that you are not perfect, yet we appreciate your imperfections. Your honesty, even when it hurts. Your sweat, even when it's stinky. Your strength, even though it can be uncomfortable at times. Your lovemaking can be compared to a king reigning on his throne. When we watch you with our kids, it is stimulating. When you place your hand in the small of our backs, we feel like queens. You are our men, our providers, our shields, our better halves. Take your places in our government. Take your places in our churches. Take your places in our communities. Take your places in our homes. When you fall out of place, we fall out of place, which means our families fall out of place and our communities fall out of place. Yes, women are strong. Yes, women do what they have to do. But we want to be able to rightfully walk in the essence of a woman and do what we were created to do, not what we are forced to do. We need you, Black man. We love you, Black man. We support you, Black man. Take your place, Black man.
When we step into the room, our presence is known, right? From day one. You know what I'm saying? The Black man's presence has always been known. And I think reality, like you say, the real reality is that the Black man, instead of being understood, was feared, right? Because when you think of, no, I'm sorry, sis, you got the PhD. I'm not going to pretend like I got it, but you know, I understand the nature of curiosity from the European when they travel, because they didn't have, you know, the idea or the concept of how did this creature create the pyramid with so much, you know, accuracy. So they had to go and study. What a lot of people don't know and what a lot of people don't understand is that the first position was a Black man. Imhotep was a Black man. And so, you know, they had to figure out a way to devise a scheme to get that knowledge. And all they had to do, they didn't have to do it like with savagery, because that's what our country was built on, savagery. Yeah. That's another topic, right? So you said the presence is known. Yeah. You know, we are present. We are physically imposing in most cases. You know? And so I'm not going to say that's intimidation, but, you know, we are an imposing figure. Our character alone. Like me as an example, says I don't have to say much, but they know when I step into the room, I command it. Yes. Just because of my belief in myself. Yes. You said we are leaders. We are seen. And we really, the one point I want to stress from you know, how you close it, but you said we have to take our place. It really bothers me, and that's why I'm an educator, because it bothers me that there are not enough, and I don't know, maybe, and you can correct me if I'm wrong on this, but the Black man has fallen to a place so detrimental to society in the fact that, you know, the images in the stigmas and the stereotypes that, you know, there's a disconnect between like our generation and the younger generation, right? So I'm doing my part to try to bridge that gap between our generation and the youngers, because they have to know that we have to take our place as Black men in society. We have to, whenever you think about black, when I think about black, I think about excellence.
Yes.
Black excellence
is when men are not in place, when the
Right.
black man is not in place. And that's something I've always said from the beginning, is that that's where you start to see the deterioration of family, is when the black man is not in his place.
You know, it starts with slavery, it starts with that, but when you really think about it, like the 50s, 40s, 50s, 60s, right? The black man was still intact, so to speak, in the home, like you're mentioning, right? And so, yeah, we deal, because when you look at the images of the civil rights era, Martin Luther King, Malcolm X, Marcus Garvey, whoever you want to look at, right? They were family structured, right? They were in the house, and the black community was really trying to band together. You know, you had the birth of the Black Panther Party and all those things. And but when I think in my research, when I start to notice that deterioration that you were talking about, it started when the Vietnam War hit. Right? Because yes, we still had oppression in the black community, but we were standing together. But when the Vietnam War hits us, that's when, you know, the black man was like, okay, I'm either going to defect, or I got to do what I got to do to take care of my family, you know. And Muhammad Ali comes to mind because, you know, he's the one that was prominent, Cassius Clay, and then Muhammad Ali came because he didn't want to join the Vietnam War. So when you think about the collective as a black man in the community, I had to go and serve my country. I got drafted. So I spent maybe 4, 5, 6 years in the Vietnam War, and that's around 73, 74. We come back to a community that lost the majority of the black men in society. So the home had to be run by mom, right? She had to maintain the house. So when a black man came back into the home, he was struggling mentally.
Absolutely.
And I can speak to this from my own perspective because my father, rest his soul in heaven, would have shell shock incidents in the house. I remember 7, 8, 9 years old, where he would have a flashback to thinking he was in the bush in the Vietnam War because he was a part of the 1st Infantry, right? And so that situation was the slowly deteriorating because the black man wasn't accepted as it was. And then he had to come back from a war that he shouldn't have been fighting in the first place.
Absolutely.
To a home that now they started enacting these, you know, laws with Section 8 and things like that. And if the man was in the house, then the woman couldn't have Section 8. All of that kind of stuff was going around. And then guess what else happened in the 80s? This war on drugs, right? Where the black man would receive 25 years to life for carrying an ounce of marijuana or a little nickel bag of, you know, cocaine. But then you had this push of crack in the community. So a lot of black men in the 80s started going to jail. So in that time frame, we lost a lot of that teaching and understanding from the black man perspective because now we're in survival mode. So now you have like a category where you have the black man that's really trying, but he's oppressed, right? So he's got to, you know, he's got to work 2 or 3 jobs to provide for his family. You got the black man that's in jail unjustly or justly because of the statutes that have been put in place to continue the oppression of the black man, right? And then you have this circulation of, in no disrespect to my LGBTQ community, right? But I'm just saying that there's this third of a black man in the society that is now homosexual. Say that, you know, because when Adam was formed, he took out of Adam woman, the womb man. So it's not the mother's responsibility. There's some great single mothers. I love my single women mothers, but it's not their responsibility nor their job to try to father a black man. It is the black man's job to father the black man.
When women had to step up to the plate. And just like you said, yes, they do a great job. I was raised by a single mother, you know, did a great job, but at the same time, she could not teach my brother how to be a man.
I don't know if you saw that song I wrote, that rap I did, Disproportionality. Right? It's the name of the track. And so when there is disproportionate, so it's magnified when you think about the black American compared to the white American being arrested or being apprehended or having their freedom of movement ceased. It is going to be greater because there's less of us in the population, you know, statistically speaking. So when you think about, the point I'm getting to is the brotherhood is strong. is strong. So there's like autonomy laws in every state, because the entity of policing does not want to say, oh yeah, we're just going to be free to allow you to sue us for wrongdoing, because everybody will get sued and police wouldn't have a budget because they're paying out all this money. You talk about Baltimore, you talk about LA, you talk about other cities that have had suits upon suits. So there's clauses in place that protect the officer.
Sure.
But now fast forward, right? Because America has seen enough. George Floyd's death, you know, it wasn't a sacrifice. He was murdered. So I'm not going to say that his death was a sacrifice. He was murdered. But I consider George Floyd's incident to be a martyr for change.
We have had what they call suicides.
Right.
So Robert Fuller is a 24-year-old found in a tree, hung outside of City Hall in Palmdale, California. Not even more than a week later actually, Robert was second. Malcolm was first. Malcolm Harsh, 38 years old, found hung in the tree the same way, in front of a library. That was in Victorville, California. That was about 45 miles away. Then you had 27-year-old Dominique Alexander, found in Manhattan Park. Same way, hung from a tree. Then you had, there's also he's not unidentified, but he's a teenager, so his name hasn't been released yet. Teenager found. He was in Texas, Spring, Texas, just north of Houston. He was found in the parking lot of an elementary school. Then you had another unidentified man, also in a tree in a vacant lot in Houston's Shady Grove neighborhood. There was also a Latino man, unidentified, Latino. And then it was also in Texas. But all of these hangings have been labeled a suicide. Right. And so tell me, brother, what's your thoughts about this?
Well, you know, so here is like, and I was having a conversation earlier with, you know, one of my church sisters, because she was explaining to me that, you know, her brother was assaulted, and it really like infuriated me and it hurt me, because I'm like, man, now is the time. You know me, sis, back in high school, I was the one that we got to be unified. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. We can't be fighting each other and beating each other, you know, robbing and doing. Now is not the time for that. We got to stand together, because here's what people don't understand, right? Like yourself, yes, PhD. So you read, you research, but a lot of people are oblivious to the small pockets of militias that want to hang on to that Confederate ideal, right? Mm-hmm. And so they are starting, you know, since 45, I don't call his name, since 45 came out, like they started to surface, because now we have someone championing our ideals. You know, I'm not going to speculate, but I'm just connecting dots that there are probably some militias out there that are, you know, targeting Black males in a lynching fashion to make a statement. Mm-hmm. That's what I feel. That's what I believe, because I'm going to tell you straight up. I worked in a police agency, and I was a United States Army soldier, where I talked to straight up racist white dudes that their only intent was to get the training, sis, that the military and the police agency provided, so that they can go back and train their militia brothers. Like the science behind hanging is so like it's so technical to have to hang yourself. You know what I'm saying? There's a technicality. And so your life preservation skills are going to kick in. Mm-hmm. So you have to really be deranged in your mind. Your mental state has to be practically none for you to physically hang yourself.
Yes. And when this is an actual act, It is said that the individual is experiencing some type of temporary insanity, right? I mean, you have to, like you said, the science of it, the pain of it, you have to be temporarily insane. However, because these people did not hang themselves,
right.
It's almost like what they're saying, like Edward said, yes, of course it's suicide because we're stupid. Yeah, we're just supposed to believe.
Right.
So it's like we all got together and decided all of these black men, we're just going to hang ourselves. Oh, let's just plan it for a week apart. All of us are depressed right now. We're going to go hang ourselves. And not to mention, I'm going to go ahead and hang myself in front of City Hall.
Like if I'm so depressed, right, you're going to find me in my own closet. You know what I'm saying? I'm not going to walk to City Hall with a rope, climb the tree, tie it to the tree, and then jump off. That's too much work. If I really want to kill myself, then I'm putting a boom. I'm not going through all of that. The Lord did not give us a spirit of fear, but a power, love, and a sound what? A sound mind. And so when they attack us through our eye gates and through our ear gates, our brain is going to pick up on that reception and be like, oh, snap, now I'm worried. That's how they break us down. We can't walk in fear because of what you said in your poem. Our presence is imposing. So they have to break us down with fear. And so that's the thing, like they were murders, they were lynchings, and it was accurate and it was like timely for whatever militia group decided to do that. That's what I truly believe, sis.
They, especially in this age group for like a 24-year-old, 27-year-old. Right. I mean, pills is the big thing right now. Prescription pills, so that could definitely be a method. But typically not that much strategy, right? And then going away from my house and it's just so many different things. And it brings me back to, not to veer away too much, but I just watched the Sandra Bland documentary. I'm not sure if you watched that, but Sandra Bland was said to be hung in her cell, and I watched that documentary, and I was just very sad after I watched it, and it makes you think, because after they did the investigation, her DNA was not found at all on the garbage bag. The garbage bag that she supposedly used to hang herself, her DNA was found nowhere on the garbage bag. And I'm like, okay, well, so now she's a ghost. So now she's invisible. How in the heck could she tie the bag, hang herself, and then her fingerprints, her DNA is not on the garbage bag? So, this is something, and, those who are familiar know what happened prior to them arresting her.
The theory, right, that I've devised in my own thoughts, because I understand the plight of our people and the oppression, right, is that, these groups that have been uprooted with hatred since young, because my great grandfather was a racist and he taught me, not to like appreciate differences. So I'm teaching my kids, and it's just like this cycle, right? And so what these statements are being, pronounced to be, in my perspective, is we gonna stay on top. We are going to continue to make these messages known to you, to let you know that we are not about equality. That's the racist perspective. We are not about equality. When you think about like Mississippi and you think about Birmingham, Alabama, they're like, we don't want you in our city. We don't want you in our state. This is like during civil rights. Like, so you think about the perpetuation of lineage of hatred. It's saying that because now, this movement, Black Lives Matter movement, and George Floyd's martyrism, they're like saying, okay, y'all can have all that all you want, but we are still here. If you don't understand your history, you are going to repeat it. And I'm like, now is not the time for us to be beating each other down. You know what I'm saying? And I tell people all the time, I'm like, straight up, you got to know who your friends are, because if they're not building you up, they tearing you down.
Yes.
So choose your friends wisely. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, we have to edify each other, especially now, because we see that there are militias out here that are making statements. They're making statements with us. The statistics tell us that the white man is more prone than the black man to commit suicide. Next on the list is, you know, the black man. The third number on that list is the white female. The least likely individual to commit suicide is the black female. You know why, sis? Because you gave props to the black man. I'm gonna give props to my black women, because you understand the foundation. You know that the heart is the home, and you mother your children. A lot of mothers are struggling right now because the man has been removed. And so there is a struggle trying to raise a boy in today's society. But the mother is the glue. They are the foundation to the home. Because first of all, in most homes, I'm not going to say all, because there's a lot of non-believers in the black community, but most of the time, they're going to have the foundation, which is the word. So they're going to be praying. They're going to pray for you. And they're going to teach you the word of God. And they're going to take you to church, whether you want to go or not. But the disconnect is when we have the mom that says, I got to let my baby be the man of the house. I got to let him do what he needs to do to figure it out on his own. That's where the disconnect comes in. Mamas, you got to stay on your kid head, man, because the world obviously wants to kill him.
The world wants to kill him. I absolutely agree with that. The target is the black man, and it's always been the black man, because he wanted to remove you from the home. Because again, once you're removed from the home, once you leave your post, you leave your family vulnerable. That's right. And so I believe that that's where we are. And going back to those statistics that you mentioned, they try to use, even with the lynching, trying to connect it to suicide. And they even try to use statistics with that, saying, you know, where African Americans are more depressed right now. They have more anxiety right now. Well, guess what we do? But not only us. And it's due to what's going on right now. The pandemic, first of all, you know, then you're killing our people. You know, so it makes a lot of sense. And that's almost across every ethnicity because of what's going on. We've been forced to stay inside. Isolation causes you to think. It causes you to think about all the mistakes you've made, what you could have done differently, where you should be at in your life right now. If you've lost someone, right? You start thinking about that again. Why? Because we've removed all of those extracurricular activities. You know what I mean? We can't do all the things that allowed us to cover up our pain, right? And so we can't go out right now, or we weren't going out. And so all of those things now you're forced to deal with. And even though, yes, you can get alcohol. Yes, you can get marijuana. Yes, you have prescription pills in your house. And unfortunately, some people aren't indulging in those things because they don't want to face reality and they don't want to feel the pain. So they are using that. And don't be surprised, you know, if you hear that, well, he was going through this, or he was unemployed, or he couldn't get unemployment. He didn't get the stimulus check. And so we're going to use all of this to justify. But the reality is that the white people are trying to make a statement.
The fact that they want to paint this picture of now we're depressed. Sis, we've been oppressed since 1619. When we first stepped suit in Jamestown, Virginia, right? That's when depression.
Oppressed. You said we've been oppressed, right?
No, oppressed, but depressed because of the situation that we've been in. Right. So what's the difference now? We've been through pandemics. We've been through isolation. So they they want to paint that picture again, like I said earlier, sis, to put it in your mind. Oh, yeah, you're right. That's what's going on. So when you have an opportunity, I want you to put your hands behind your back and then lie on your chest. Right. See how difficult it is for you just to breathe in that stature. Now imagine, tell your boyfriend, your girlfriend, your little brother, little sister, now to come and lean their weight on top of you to determine how hard it is for you to breathe in that moment. So it doesn't matter. They try to say, well, he had a, cardiac. Yeah, of course you're gonna have a cardiac arrest when you can't breathe, because your lungs, your lung capacity is already constricted because your hands are behind your back and you are lying on your chest. So when you think about all of those elements, and then you add maybe 180, 195 pound wet man on you, you are not going to be able to breathe for that duration. So when you think about like all of that stuff, that's what they want to do. They want to put that seed of speculation in your mind to say, well, yeah, man, you know, he was in the hood, you know, he might have had some, you know, nickel dimes in his pocket. So I guess he got, you know, what he get. That's a bunch of crap. That's a bunch of crap. So we gotta, you know, I'm a fact person. When I was a police officer, sis, I was a fact person. Like, I'm gonna look at the facts. Yeah. I'm not gonna prejudge you. And a lot of my brothers in blue, that's what they did. You know, and I said this before, and I'm gonna speak to this one more time because we gotta understand the understanding of a police officer. I would say maybe 50%. So you'd probably say 1 out of, or 33%. Okay, let's just do that. One out of every 3 police officers has been tormented in their way, some kind of way. They've been tormented in their life, some kind of way. So now I'm going to exercise that power. I have power now. Nobody can tell me what to do. I can tell you what to do now. I can exercise that power over you. So who am I going to do it to? Somebody that already fears me anyway. So this is what I tell when I'm teaching my young brothers and sisters, Black and brown, Latino and African American, when you interact with the police, it's okay to shut your hood street cred down because they will kill you.
And it's a shame. It's a shame. You have to tell these young kids, your students, that you will get killed. And going back to Sandra Bland, watching that video and that documentary, it made me think about that because she was totally calm until, you know, he asked her a question, which is where he basically picked her. He picked with her.
That's
you know,
it.
He asked her, he said, you look like you're aggravated. It's something wrong.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And then when she's like, yeah, I got pulled over for nothing, you know, for whatever it was, I think a no turn signal or something.
Yeah, some BS.
Basically that's when it started. You know, it doesn't matter how she looks. You're writing her a ticket, give it to her at the end. You know, Peter walked on water. You can walk on water. Jesus' daughter from the motherland. It hurts so often, often weary, sad, often begging for pardon. He asked to change your wicked ways. You excuse yourself rawly. Forgive them. Forgive you. Find the fruits of the spirit. You got to elevate your mind. Got to keep yourself lifted high above the sky where our sins are forgiven. Well, we meet our Heavenly Father. There'll be rest for the weary. Amazing grace. Hey, how sweet the sound. Hey, that saved a wretch like me. I'm about to pray for you. I'm about to pray for you.
They say it don't matter, that all lives should matter. But since the foundation, it's been us who's been tattered and broken and beaten. But we constantly repeating the cycle of our history because we not eating the knowledge that they left for us. But what do they expect of us? Absolutely nothing but for us to stay ignorant. 400 years, we were shackled and chained. The shackles might be gone, but the chain remained on our minds. But it's about that time for us to stick together and be of like mind, to educate ourselves, to elevate ourselves, to love and not hate the image of ourselves. 44 gave us hope. He made the world believers. To look inside yourself, to know that you can be achievers of whatever you put your mind to do, whatever endeavor you're trying to pursue, but never forsake your history and never let it die with you.